Alright, so here we are on 2-TAC-88, last one for the night. Let's see, this looks like another thinking kind of analysis problem. So it doesn't look like we're going to be doing much math in here, just kind of reasoning about it. So let's see, so based on the measurements provided for each triangle below, determine whether the measure of x must be more than, less than, or equal to 45 degrees. Okay, I see what they're going for here. Hint. Let's see problem 4-TAC 28. We're on like 2-TAC-88. What are they talking about 4-TAC-28? Man, I don't get these guys at all. Okay, but I think I know what they're going for here. So, let's take a look at this. Let me draw out a triangle here, because I think this is going to work a little bit better if we have a triangle to look at. Okay. So, here is a right triangle, okay? Now, if this is a right triangle, meaning that's 90 degrees, right? We know that the sum of these two angles needs to be, so this is 90, right? 90, okay? The sum of these two angles also has to be 90, because the total of the sum of the angles on the inside of a triangle has to be 180, right? So if this is 90, then these two must be add up to 90. So what would be the way that are 45 degrees, right? So if these two, so if this was going to be 45, and this was going to be 45, what would have to be true? If these two angles are the same, what would have to be true about these two sides? Well, they'd have to be exactly the same length, right? Because it's an isosceles triangle. This side is equal to this side, then that means this angle is equal to this angle, right? Side, side, angle, angle. Okay, so here, so that would assume that these two sides are equal. So let's say that both sides, this was 4 in length, and this one was 4 in length. That would make both of these 45 degrees, right? Legit. No problem. Here they've given us a different triangle. They've given one side to be 3, and they're asking about this one. And so they're deliberately asking whether this is less than, equal to, or greater than 45 degrees, because they want you to think about isosceles right triangles, where if this side and this side are equal, these two have to be equal, and since this one's a right this one's a right angle, each of these is normally 45 if both sides are equal. But what if I take this side right here, and now I shrink it down? Okay, so let's say I shrink it down to like 3. So you can kind of see what happens to the angle. So watch what happens to that 45-degree angle, right? Woo! Well, now it's got to be less than 45 degrees, right? Because this is 45. This is, when I shrink this side down to be like 3, right? When I make this side 3, it looks like that. So what we're seeing is that when it's 4, right, when both sides are equal, both of the angles are equal. When I shrink one of the sides down to like 3, that angle becomes less than 45, because this side is less than this side. Okay, so there's equal sides, 45, 45. This side, the left side gets smaller. This angle over here gets smaller. Okay, so in this case, x would be less than 45 degrees for A. Think about what the slope ratio must be for the angle to be 40. Okay, well that seems overly complicated. Alright, hopefully this made more sense. But, alright, so now let's look at this other triangle that they gave us. Let's look at B. So let's see what they gave us. They gave us a triangle that kind of looks kind of like that, but not exactly. Rotate. Rotate. There we go. Alright, so it looks a little bit like this, right? And they're tricking us because they drew it such that both sides are not the same, right? It looks like this side is shorter, but they labeled them both so that they're equal sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it so that they're equal sides then, because that's pretty silly that they're trying to do that. Okay, so there's closer to equal sides. And so now I'm going to say that this side is 18, this side is 18, and then we're wondering about this guy. Okay, and we know that this is a right angle. Well, if we know this is a right angle, and both of these two sides are equal, right, this side is equal to this side, well then we know that x is going to be the same for both of these sides. Well, if this is 90, there's 180 degrees in a triangle, then 180 minus 90 is 90, so these two sides have to add up to 90, and if they're equal, 90 divided by 2 is 45, so these are exactly, x is exactly 45 degrees, because both of these two sides are equal. So they try to trick us because they label the triangle as 18 on both sides, but then they draw the triangle like that. Oh, come on, guys. Alright, so that one's exactly 45 degrees. Alright, let's take a look at this one now. So let's see here. There we go. Triangle. Okay, and they kind of draw it like that. And then we'll rotate it a little bit. Okay, and then they said this side is 8. Right, and this side is 2, which is, again, not really to scale, and this is a right angle, right, and this is x, okay, so they want to know about this angle. How does that relate to this one? Well, the way they've drawn it here, this one is definitely less than 45, right, this is a tiny angle, so if this one's less than 45, this is 90, this one's less than 45, it still adds up to 180, so if this is less than 45, this one's got to be greater than 45, right? Because they still got to add up to 180. So if this side was equal to this side, like that, right? Then this would be 45, and this would be 45. But because they shrunk this one down, look at how the angle gets wider as we shrink it down, right? See how that angle gets wider? So, or at least the x angle gets wider as we shrink it down. But look what happens to the other angle. The other angle gets smaller. Interesting, huh? Alright, so when we shrink this side down, this angle gets bigger than 45. Okay? So for A, it was less than 45. For B, it was exactly 45. And for C, greater than 45. Cool? Cool. Alright, and that's it for tonight. Well, that was kind of interesting. That was more of like a reasoning set of problems. More like they want you to think about it. So hopefully that wasn't too much trouble. Alright, you have a great night, and I will talk with you both later. Bye-bye.